Welcome to Breakup Cheater, your home for raw, honest stories about love, betrayal, and the hard lessons that come with relationships. Here we share real experiences that show the highs and lows of human connection. Moments that make us think, feel, and sometimes even heal. If you want stories that are real, relatable, and full of emotion, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe and join our community, where every story matters and every voice is heard. Sometimes, the hardest lessons come wrapped in moments of embarrassment and truth. When trust starts to crack and distance grows, what does it really take to rebuild a relationship? Tonight's story is about a man who chose to confront the silent betrayal behind closed doors, not with anger, but with a test that would reveal how much his wife truly valued their life together. This isn't just a story about money or dinners. It's about respect, honesty, and waking up from the illusion before it's too late. That Friday evening began just like any other, but I had been looking forward to it all week. Work had drained every ounce of energy from me, and I was hoping for a simple night, maybe dinner out, some laughter, and a chance to reconnect with my wife. I imagined us shedding the stress, talking without distractions, just enjoying each other's company. When I walked through the door, though, the house was unusually quiet. The living room was empty, no sign of her. On the kitchen table, I spotted a brief note in her handwriting. "Out with the girls. Don't wait up." My chest tightened with a mix of disappointment and a creeping unease. This wasn't the first time she had made plans without telling me, but recently, it had become a pattern. Lately, Anna seemed distant, less interested in conversation, always glued to her phone, and inventing excuses to avoid spending time with me in the evenings. I tried calling her, but she didn't pick up. Minutes later, my phone buzzed with a text from her. "Relax, I'm with friends. I'll be late." I stared at the message, a heavy mix of frustration and sadness settling in. I'm not a jealous person, but being left out over and over, especially without so much as a proper conversation, made me feel invisible, like I was no longer part of her life. Over the past few weeks, I had noticed something troubling. Every Friday night, Anna and her friends would gather at the same upscale restaurant. They'd order lavish meals and expensive drinks, laughing as if every night was a celebration. The kicker: I was the one footing the bill, every time without fail. That morning, I had even glimpsed at her purse and seen the latest credit card statement. The charges weren't small. But this wasn't about money, it was about respect and trust. Anna seemed to relish the lifestyle I worked so hard to provide, yet she had no interest in sharing any of it with me. It stung far more than the numbers on the statement. So when she casually mentioned another upcoming girls' night, I smiled quietly and said, "Sure, have fun." Inwardly, I already knew what I was going to do. The plan was straightforward but precise. The moment Anna sat down to order that night, she would realize her beloved dinner wasn't going to be paid by me anymore. As she slipped into her favorite dress, the heels clicking confidently on the floor, I watched her leave. 10 minutes after she was gone, I opened my banking app and blocked her credit card. I could already picture her face when the waiter told her the payment had been declined. She wanted independence on her terms. Well, it was time she got a real taste of what that looked like. The rooftop bar where she met her friends was alive with energy. Laughter, clinking glasses, the hum of ambition. Everyone was dressed to impress, the air thick with expensive perfume and the buzz of social media stories unfolding. Her friends welcomed her with hugs and cheers, already caught up in their shared world of selfies and gossip. Anna slid into the booth, wearing a smile that felt rehearsed, the kind that screamed, "Look at me, I'm having the time of my life." When the waiter approached, she confidently handed over the credit card, the one I had just cancelled. The first sign that something was wrong came when he swiped the card and the machine refused to connect. He smiled politely, trying again, but the card was declined. Her composure faltered for the first time. She glanced nervously at the waiter and then at her friends, who immediately sensed the change in atmosphere. Whispered questions and suspicious looks filled the air. "Are you okay?" one friend asked quietly. Anna nodded, her hands trembling slightly as she swiped the card again, hoping it was a mistake. The waiter returned with a sympathetic shake of his head. "Sorry, ma'am. It's not going through." The confident mask cracked, revealing vulnerability. Her friends exchanged awkward glances, some whispering behind their hands, others giving her looks filled with unspoken questions. Her cheeks burned, not just from the cool rooftop breeze, but from the sting of public humiliation. She excused herself to the restroom, leaving her friends awkwardly sitting at the table with half-empty drinks and uneasy silence. Behind closed doors, her phone buzzed relentlessly. Multiple missed calls and texts from me, all unanswered. I imagined the panic swelling inside her as she realized I had taken control of the one thing she thought was hers, the financial freedom to maintain this double life. Hours later, she returned to the table, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. The whispers followed her like shadows, and the carefully staged photo she snapped for Instagram felt hollow and rehearsed. I wasn't there to see it all firsthand, but through mutual friends I heard every detail. That night wasn't just embarrassing for her, it was a turning point. The next morning, the air between us was thick and heavy, more so than any argument we'd ever had. She avoided my eyes, moving slowly as if weighed down by the previous night's shame. When I asked about the cancelled card, she offered a tight-lipped smile and said, "I don't know what happened. Maybe a bank error." But I knew better. That night had cracked the fragile foundation between us, and no amount of denial could fix it. In the days that followed, I noticed subtle but telling changes. Anna stopped going out as often. Her laughter was quieter, her eyes clouded with distraction. She seemed trapped in a web of guilt and frustration. We began talking again, cautiously, carefully, like walking on thin ice that could shatter at any moment. And then, finally, she admitted the truth. She confessed how much she had relied on the life I provided, how she'd taken it all for granted, and how embarrassed she felt when everything came crashing down in front of her friends. It wasn't just about the money, she said, but about respect and honesty. I told her that trust isn't built on expensive dinners or designer bags, but on partnership, sharing joys and burdens alike. Tears slipped down her cheeks as she finally understood the cost of her choices. That night became our turning point. We both realized the comfortable routines we had fallen into were slowly eroding the very foundation of our marriage. We decided to rebuild, starting with small steps, honest conversations, shared responsibilities, and making time for each other again without distractions or secrets. I never told Anna that canceling her card was my way of testing how much she valued what we had beyond the surface. I wanted her to see that a relationship isn't a luxury item to flaunt but a commitment that requires nurturing, respect, and trust. That lesson came at a cost, but it was one worth paying if it meant saving something real between us. Sometimes, tough love is the only way to wake someone from a dream built on illusions. And in that moment of embarrassment and honesty, we found the chance to heal, and to grow together. Relationships aren't built on appearances or luxury. They're built on trust, respect, and genuine connection. Sometimes it takes a difficult wake-up call to realize what really matters. This story reminds us that tough love, though painful, can open the door to healing and growth. If you've ever faced moments where silence spoke louder than words, you're not alone. Remember, the strongest bonds are the ones we choose to nurture every day. Thanks for listening. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life tales of love and lessons learned.